All right, and here we go. A little bit of struggling from his song, but we're gonna see what we can do. Come on, Don Quixote. There we go. That is what I am talking about. Well, welcome, tadpoles, to today's video. I hope you are excited. Let's see what progress we can make today. We are halfway through the Intervallo. I feel like progress has slowed down. So hopefully we can kick it up a bit and get through this Intervallo, because I am very excited for Canto 8. I cannot. Oh my god. This got blasted. Uh-oh, there we go. There we go. Come on. Come on, Isong. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was nuts. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. All right, we got more. Okay, so it looks like we have everybody except Don Quixote, which is very interesting. We're gonna put in red sheet. Oh, no. There we go. No, Faust, you at the end. Okay, I feel like that's pretty good. You know, full stop office. Hong Lu was so badass. I want to build a team around him. The foundation that led to this disaster was laid by none other than Isong, whose only sin was making an innocent, tragically casual comment. Sometime after we ran our final tests. Please vacate the room, people. Cleanup coming through. Apologies. Miss Don Quixote has ought to. Prithee, avail me but a moment. The shoelaces upon Rocinante have come undone. What? How? I remember trying like 7 different knots on your shoes. Yet to wear quite the hideous access, sorry, to be forced upon Rocinante, I have tied one of them once again in the shape of a ribbon. Yeah, the knots didn't look that great. Ribbons are cute. Oh boy. Yet one must begin to wonder about the consequences of Miss Don Quixote freeing her feet from Rocinante at her present state. Whatever art thou suggesting? Rocinante is none other than mine eternal steed, bound to me by fate itself. None shall ever dare sever the bond betwixt us. It was a query posed towards Miss Faust. Yeah, and I appreciate your answer all the same. And Faust's reply was what set fire upon that rather combustible foundation. I cannot know. What? An obvious outcome, given that no relevant data has ever been collected. Well then, no time like the present to get collected, huh? Good thing we're in a lab to... Where else are we gonna get another chance to do that? This course of action is highly inadvisable. Yeah, sounds like a bad time to me. I heard all kinds of horrible stuff happened on that train the moment her shoes came off. Sure did. But that's... 'Twas but an independent decision called by Rocinante itself due to certain extreme circumstances that had naught to do with mine will. Well, you know, potato. I was already quite aware that the core of that individual may as well lie in her pair of running shoes. Fie on thee, thou shan't treat a person such as I like some useless shell. What if we slipped her shoes off and on again really quick? That's a good question. The standards here are at the LCE department demand precise measurements. In other words, these tests would be meaningless if all we are measuring is a hollow shell. A hollow shell? We have indulged your predictable provocations enough, Hohenheim. It seems necessary to remind you that you have not yet received a full report of what transpired during that incident. In other words, you are risking the occurrence of an unexpected event. You concern yourself unnecessarily. The construction of my laboratory boasts a rather solid build. Not even abnormalities on the more powerful side of things can puncture holes in its walls. Oh, very well. I will not force your hand. However, due to your unwillingness, I am behooved to record as such in my research journal. Due to the concerned sinner's utterly terrified reaction at the prospect of having to remove her shoes, I must unfortunately leave only a half-complete test result here. Utterly terrified? And for your information, these research reports are stored for at least a decade. Yes, we will have possession of a full record of your plain cowardice for at least 10 years. Outcome: NA. Reason: subject was too scared to participate. After much contemplation, I have come to conclude that dearest Rocinante deserveth a moment of respite as well. And I, Don Quixote, shall demonstrate before thee that Don Quixote is Don Quixote in her core still, without Rocinante's assistance. Are you sure this is a good idea, Faust? Hohenheim, if your employment at Limbus Company ever comes to a unilateral termination, I suppose the cause will be rather apparent. Your highly irresponsible level of curiosity. Not a good idea. Got it. That would be my greatest honor as a researcher. Hey, if anything ever goes wrong, Isong will be on the ready to slip those shoes right back onto your feet at a moment's notice, okay? I shall be on the ready. Behold me not to, with such excessive anticipation all, there shan't be any new revelations here. Don Quixote begins to untie her shoes, seething. The 7-layered knot poseth quite the difficulty. Young Ishmael, wherefore hast thou tied these cords with such unwavering tightness? I was hoping they'd be the last knot those shoelaces would ever tie. Of course. Ah, there we go. Rest thee well, Rocinante. For I. What just happened? The sinners and I were all quite nervous, but none of us stepped forward to stop this experiment. Why didn't we stop this? Was it because we thought we knew removing Rocinante doesn't necessarily mean that she'll be losing control? Because we saw its effect on the warp train and at La Mancha? Or was it because we assumed that Rocinante was now just a disguise, and now that Don Quixote has accepted her past as Sancho, removing it wouldn't affect her psyche at all? Whichever was the case, it was a mistake to ignore that nagging feeling. These researchers don't know what facing Don Quixote, Sancho, the second kindred is like. We do. Oh my God. Mother. Oh, mother. Oh no. Our existence is death and perpetuity. Complete us. Fill our hunger. We pray unto you, fill us with the blood of humans, with the blood of humans. The teeming, shouting voices suddenly began to echo in my head. They're the voices of all the children he had embraced. Or perhaps this was the blood fiend's instinctive given voice imprinted upon them at the moment of their birth. Proliferate this disease, embrace this unending hunger for blood, and propagate the family. So many voices, so much yearning, so much desires. Every single kindred that has ever existed in the past kneels before Don Quixote. Oh, dearest mother, as your children, when shall we be permitted to quench this thirst for blood? I must drink blood. I have to drink all the blood. All the blood that the family deserve to drink. I must. Dante, wake up. Ain't this a lot like the last time at that building when the fire on their head suddenly exploded? I have to. I gotta get a hold of myself. Thirst. My body can't even feel thirsty. This doesn't make any sense. I'm okay. I'm okay now. What did you see, Dante? If we want to bring Don Quixote back, We're going to need to quench our thirst somehow. We need something to sate the combined thirst, the desire of every single kindred. That's not good. Do you keep any blood in here? Let's at least try to quench what's... yeah, we have some blood samples, if you need them. Damn it! Have you been listening to what the executive manager's been saying? It's the combined thirst of every single kindred. A few blood samples aren't going to do anything. So you're going to sit here and do nothing? Ain't this just a matter of getting her shoes back on? Righty song. Shoes! Get those shoes back on her feet. I cannot. A bizarre wall of pressure surrounds her. This is one luxury cig. Good flavor. I bought those luxury cigarettes with our last bonus pay. These readings are incredible. So much power, even in a state like this. For all intents and purposes, complete emaciation. What? You egged her on knowing this would happen? I had many outcomes in mind. Some were quite similar to this, but this is beyond even the most extreme of my predictions. How the are you so calm about this? We've got to do something. You haven't even seen how hard this last hits. What would be the use of panicking now? If the outcome does not align with the predictions, the first course of action should be to analyze the given data. However, it doesn't seem like our containment measures will be the answer here. Thus, the task of stopping her seems to fall straight onto all of you. Time for us to pay the price of curiosity. That's why we couldn't pick Don Quixote. Oh my gosh. Sancho is back! Oh my, I don't like that. Level 85, damn. Okay, all right. Let's see, is it the same? Consume 20 blood feasts, gain 1 hard blood for every 10 blood feasts consumed. On use, on hit, and on hit. Okay, sanity. Okay. Combat starts, gain yearning for blood. If this unit is on the field, bleed damage collectively received by every unit. Okay. For every 3% missing HP on self, gain 1 offense level up. Oh my god. Okay. And then attack power up. All right, let's go. Let's take down Sancho again. Freaking Hohenheim. Oh no. There we go, Heathcliff. You got it. I gotta say, I did not expect that we would be fighting Don Quixote right now. Very unexpected. Here we go. Okay, we're not doing like too bad. Hey, do not hit Ishmael. Yes. You missed. Offense level up. Yep. Offense level up. Hey, I don't like that offense level up. Let's get to the stagger threshold here, baby. Come on, Heathcliff. Come on, boy. Yes, win those rolls. Win those rolls. So close. So close. Nice, look at those evades. Good job, team. Favorite across the board, dominating. I like it. I hope you are enjoying today's video, Tadpales. Make sure you hit that like button. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate those of you that have hit the subscribe button. If you haven't, just double check. Just, scroll down a little bit. Hit that subscribe. There we go, all staggered. Staggered and all damage. 1900. Beautiful. Yeah, we got this. I just want to make sure that we do not hit that stagger threshold. I don't think we are going to. But that is always the worst. When they're staggered and then all of a sudden you're getting close to the staggered threshold. Oh, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. What is happening? Oh my God. Excuse me? What the hell? I have to be the mother to all of them. The family's thirst. It's not my. Whoa! Virgilius. No, my lady. You needn't be the mother of anyone here. Here, you are a sinner. Nothing more. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Virgie stepping in. Oh my God. Virgilius versus Sancho. Oh my, yes. The red gaze. Are you kidding? Hello? Virgilius just whooped her ass. Don Quixote's gonna love that though. I will not place the blame of this incident on anyone, Dante. I understand that no one could have expected this outcome, given the dearth of intelligence regarding the binding tool the first kindred had gifted to the third sinner. Well then, I hadn't had that much first-hand experience watching Virgilius fight, but this was certainly the most exhausted I've seen him after a fight. I decided to say nothing and turned the clock. After some time passed. Oh, yo, that was sick. Don Quixote, what happened? Did you lose consciousness, or did something affect your memory? Manager Esquire, my memories were fine. But I heard something as soon as I removed my shoes. Voices, right? Once again, you have witnessed me. Yes, the voices. So many voices. Voices? The voices of my family. But the blood fiends of La Mancha Land are all... Sinclair trailed off. Every single blood fiend left inside La Mancha Land was killed when the amusement park collapsed. In other words, most of Don Quixote's lower kindreds were dead. That is indeed. That is correct. But I cannot well explain how. The only way I might explain this is that it was a thought of my very blood remembered them still. I recognized some of them, and some were voices of those I once deeply cared for. It seems that I was, against my own desire, made to ascend to my father's seat. Perhaps I always was, ever since then. And I was struck not only by my own thirst, but the combined thirst of every single one of the children. Thirst. Indeed, I am also bound by that thirst. It is only natural because I am a blood fiend. Thus, the pressure of it all broke my hold of sanity, and I hurt you all. As Don Quixote the Blood Fiend, a higher kindred, not as Don Quixote, a sinner, and your friend. Don Quixote, this isn't your fault. No, such words are meaningless now. She looked down at her pair of shoes, their strings again neatly tied. The higher office will now be regularly supplying you with artificial blood packs. Hohenheim approached us after spending a while vigorously scribbling something in his notes. The blood substitute will be very similar to real blood in terms of composition, and we won't have any issue with supply. I don't suppose you actually believed that mere willpower would be enough to withstand this urge? I have done quite well suppressing it thus far. Indeed. And that was precisely the wick attached to the ticking time bomb within the LCB. Must I remind you that the soundness of this limiter of yours is quite tenuous, as today's events have demonstrated? Is it your implication that the purpose of conducting this reckless experiment was to determine the full extent of the latent danger? I don't know. It seemed like he was in it only to sate his curiosity. Call it merely the auspice of opportune convenience. This risk factor had to be measured sooner or later. Had I known the full extent of the danger she posed, I would have immediately requested a forceful summoning of your department. Of course, as large as this void of unknowns was, we were able to fill it with much new information. Certain analysis can be drawn by comparing the reports regarding blood fiends and this very experiment. Let us discuss the thirst you experienced first. For example, the combined desire of every lower kindred. Indeed, it is true. The Manchegan kindreds have been completely eradicated due to the events at La Mancha Land, but you still heard the voices of your children, yes? What are you trying to say? I am to discuss the powerful binding force contained within blood. LCD's cooperative report explains that blood is not merely a carrier of nutrients, but something more, that it contains certain abstract values as well. We sent in a complaint that the report was far too vague in its wording, and we received a reply their on-site investigative reasoning team leader spat out, the contents of which were equally fascinating. This desire of their kind, this thirst, is something that may as well be imbued and imprinted on the familial bloodline. Normally, the weight of that thirst is far too heavy for any individual to bear, which is why they propagate, to bear the unbearable burden together. But considering that all of that desire is now focused onto an individual, on account of the extinction of her entire family line, it is easy to see why her hold to sanity was so easily broken, no matter the strength of her will. She alone was made to bear the responsibility, the pressure, the duty of having to raise the family once again. And because none of those needs are currently met, there comes the endless, exacerbating thirst, and more thirst. It is quite fascinating to see how your kind preserves these very abstract values in the physical form of blood. The mere words, thirst, does quite the insufficient job of describing the intensity with which you have lost control. This was my oversight, I must admit. I do respect your efforts to be liberated from your nature, I truly do. But I also maintain that it is highly advisable for you to regularly consume the provided blood packs. Understood. But one day, I wish to dismount from Rocinante and walk bare of feet and feel the earth under my own skin. I was able to establish one positive fact from this exercise, however. What might that be? That there are those who would, quite literally, throw their lives on the line to stop you even if you were to take off your shoes. In other words, I don't believe it to be necessary for other departments to exercise any separate control over you. Well, now that I've had a first-hand account of your conditions, I will write the following in the report. Still quite unstable, yet with the effort from the subject herself and efforts from various other environmental factors, this subject has been deemed sufficiently controllable. Once again, I do respect your efforts, or any kind of effort, really, because I've never had much use for it myself. Don Quixote took a deep breath, then turned to face the sinners. By then, her eyes had regained their usual softer look. But sorrow was seeping through the tone of her voice, despite her theatrical manner of speech returning. Her tone reminded me of our time at La Mancha Land. My deepest apologies, dearest friends. Forsooth, I shall ever persevere to see that Rocinante, my shoes, are never to be removed again. Lass, you're looking at it all wrong. You're going to remove those shoes one day, yeah? And that's what you're going to persevere towards. Verily. I think she let out a brief, quiet laughter. Ah, Manager Esquire, perchance is there aught that thou concealest from my knowledge? What do you mean? I don't think so. It's no coincidence that at this very moment I noticed Faust looking in my direction. I don't know if I made the right choice here, but Faust nodded lightly, as though to say that I did. I stopped hesitating, and the tick-tocking noise came to a stop. Very well then. She doesn't believe Dante. However, I cannot help but admit that I felt some degree of anxiety as I watched Don Quixote walk away as though nothing had happened. Yeah, Don Quixote knows. Of course, she has to know. She has to know. And like, what's to say that her blood, right? Her blood isn't like talking to her in that way, right? I mean, there's always that chance. Her blood is like, yeah, Dante is full of shit. Like, they're lying. They're lying to you. But that was pretty intense. I did not see that one coming. I did not see that one coming at all. Well, now that that's over and done with, I would like the sinners to come gather around here. Hohenheim placed the sinners in a single file before him and it began. Now the regular checkup is complete. We finally have enough data to compare your pre-employment statuses to those of your current selves. Which means, indeed, we were able to measure your pre-employment combat capabilities as well. Oh, and what are your conclusions? Allow me to preface this by saying that there isn't much significance in establishing this particular hierarchy of power on a linear scale. Like I said, you are all equally mediocre, at the present anyway, and... oh, there's plenty of significance, all right. We've all got to know who's the big boss. Well, this is but a speculation of the worst case scenario. We must know which one of us has the most right and authority to lead the rest of the sinners in case our executive manager becomes, due to some unknown yet inexorable circumstances, unavailable. Hey, I don't listen to anyone weaker than I am. What if there was a reason I was the first one asked to introduce himself? There was a burgeoning interest among the sinners to see which one of them would be at the apex of this scale were they to be measured by their strengths prior to their employment. I'm gonna say, who would be the strongest of them all? I would probably pick Don Quixote. Ryoshu? Hey, maybe before I lost my memories, even Dante, don't. It is interesting how every collective has the desire to get the clear picture of the pecking order. A negative expression of this desire may even lead to juvenile behaviors among children, for example, stealing their colleagues' lunches for meager reasons, such as scoring higher than they did on the test. You're not speaking from personal experience, are you? Thus, I believed that trying to conceal the outcome of the test from you would be quite meaningless. Each of your placements in that line you are standing in signifies that very order you were so curious to know. I do not wish to waste any more breath on this subject. There was a long, long silence. Then the sinners all simultaneously turned to look at the person standing in the frontmost position of the line. Isong? This has to be the longest, most awkward, most loaded silence I've ever felt in my life. Much that I wish to hold shrouded in my fathoms. Yet, I yearned still to convey that we are all more than meets the eye. Yet there remains a certain abundance within my heart. Perhaps the test of this day paints a picture of both my qualities. Thus spoke I, Isong. Isong, I will place trust in the faith that all of you shall one day sprout wings as I have. What? Is he saying that he unlocked his true potential? Isong, it's the other way around. Yes! Okay. All right. That makes more sense. I was going to say, damn, I did not see Song being the strongest. From here, the center wielding that oversized lance is the one at the front of this line. Okay. Exactly as I thought. That's exactly as I thought. Well, you said some cool words, though. We got this, right, Esong? Esong and Sinclair at the back. Okay, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I pictured, right? Don Quixote at the front, Sinclair, Esong at the back. Well, 'tis quite the bashful occasion to be the center of such a fervent attention of one such company. I wouldn't say fervent is the right word. Worried? Maybe. I shall be vigilant. No one seemed to have any objections or doubts about who the strongest sinner was, given the earlier event. No, exactly. On second thought, it appears that it would be best if we left the command to Ishmael, as we have done so far. Otis mumbled through gritted teeth. Forsooth, I am in agreement. I am more partial to roles as a defending fixer or a squire. 'Tis oft the case that such side characters enjoyed greater popularity since time immemorial. Very happy to see this discussion not coming to blows. Now, are we all ready to move on from this? Wait a minute. Aren't we all forgetting something pretty important? That's just how the world works, Greg. No one remembers anyone between the first place and the last place. I even forgot my own placement in the order. No, I mean, fellas, I wasn't even a part of this list. What? No! No, Gregor! Oh, were you not? Who cares, mate? There's 12 of us. Some people just fall out of the radar. Big deal. Let's just get on with it. Hey, you can't just disregard me like swatting away a fly. Of course, the bug comment. I guess somewhere around my level probably, or Heathcliff's? Ishmael replied in a voice that had clearly lost all interest in this discussion. Ah, you're the sinner with that bizarre insectoid arm. We had no choice but to place you in the least favorite category of all researchers. Exceptions. They really hate that, huh? In other words, you are a unique case that cannot be well placed in a list or a scale. To do so would be irresponsible. I'd say you carry a certain potential. That potential, is it? Does that mean that I could be first place if all goes well? It could very well be the reverse, given the definition of potential. Let not this query harrow your mind, Gregor. Your day will come. Feels funny getting consoled by the guy who placed last. It's funny that Esong is weaker than Sinclair. Oh man, those two. I feel bad for them. They try their best. After some time passed. Next, we must discuss the classification numbers. We have been assigning risk levels for distortions, just as we have for abnormalities. The observation logs you have written for us were of great help, of course. My researchers struggled to parse the handwriting of certain sinners, however, but it was good data all the same. We once had a 3-hour debate over a letter. Even that bloody governess gave up on trying to fix my handwriting. Heathcliff grinned proudly and wiped the side of his nose. As you must all be aware, the current system of classification numbers has a rather significant oversight. Because abnormalities were creations of the former L Corp, our classification system had to be lifted whole from their system. However, the criteria by which the former L Corp measured the risk levels was the amount of their energy production. And Kephalin, right? As a correlation of sorts, it was often the case that the more aggressive abnormalities produced more energy, but their destructive capabilities were not a part of the criteria despite the correlation. That is why certain abnormalities were assigned relatively lower risk levels despite their potential to kill even multiple higher-ranking employees. They were an energy company at the end of the day. It makes sense that their priority would be to measure the energy output. However, here, Both abnormalities and distortions must be suppressed via direct confrontation. Thus, the former L-Corp's classification system is rather incongruent with our purposes. I once heard someone say that we should be wary of people who drone on and on in the intro. Thus, it became necessary for us to reorganize the distortions, risk levels, and classification codes. Wow, how interesting. So, whose job is that going to be? I am rather taken aback by the naivete with which you ask me that question. It's us. Sinners without the right to refuse, was it? Wait a sec. Aren't you just offloading your own work onto us? A privilege given to researchers. Oi, don't be so ignorant, yeah? This is all just to, in order to research the distortions, right? We gotta... The other way around. I mean, I do not like the... I was gonna say, I do not like the fact that this is small text. Are we gonna get, like, a whole page here? The other way around, assistant. We've got to do research into distortions in order to solve them better. It's elementary shit. Hohenheim's really got you wrapped around his finger. You know that? According to the LCD on-site investigative reasoning team leader, the progression of a distortion is much like that of a disease. The fate of an abnormality awaits at the end of the distortion phenomenon, after all. When a distortion progresses into an abnormality, all pre-existing individuality is erased, replaced with the totality of an abnormality. Thus, it is impossible to bring back a distortion that has already transformed into an abnormality. It will no longer have that reversibility that they once had in the distortion phase, which we have seen. I mean, we have witnessed abnormalities, distortions before. So a distortion like that Time Ripper fella will eventually become an abnormality too, if left untouched. If you are referring to the subject HE6PI2001, then yes. This is simply a prediction, of course. Because that particular subject isn't contained here, I cannot say with absolute certainty that its progression into an abnormality will be observed. A correct assessment. Oh, didn't Limbus Company collect the Time Ripper? We hoped we would, but T-Corp was very adamant about their claim over the entity, to the point where they refused to even sit at the negotiation table. I found their time-ripping ability quite fascinating, but sometimes I must know when to cut my losses, I suppose. Wait, so the HE something is the new classification code format? Indeed, because it is difficult to identify and observe the origin and the shape of a distortion, we decided to forego that information and instead replace them with their sin affinities and the expected damage scale. Sin affinities, PI, must be referring to a Pigritia sloth. It appears that this classification now mimics the classifications of the Pecatula. They do indeed follow the same thought process. If we're being technical here, I wouldn't say it mimics it. It would be more accurate to say that as the Pecatula are at once the origin of the distortion phenomenon and its byproducts, the affinities can be transferred one-to-one. What's the expected damage scale? Combat capability, I am guessing. I remember them saying that the risk levels were determined based on the enkephalin production rates, which is not the most meaningful information to us who have to fight them directly. It was a tad inconvenient to put a nebulous idea like combat capabilities into a singular numerical scale of power. Certain entities have idiosyncrasies and variables that make such a linear measure quite meaningless. So instead, we decided to measure the expected amount of damage that Limbus Company personnel might suffer should they engage these entities in battle. While this Time Ripper poses very little threat against a sinner due to your idiosyncrasies, the unique nature of their weapon means they can immediately deal a nigh-fatal blow to anyone from the LCC department with a single strike. That is why this distortion was given a rather high expected damage scale of 6, from a scale of 1 to 10. Please do note that this is not a perfect system, and these values are there only as references. Will the standard be applied to abnormalities as well? We have plans to do so, yes. Risk levels and expected damage scales will be coming before their classification codes. Speaking of which, I have something to show you all. What is it? What else other than the monolith? One with the highest potential values among Limbus Company's businesses. Thus, the development of transportation, management, and processing methodologies of the monolith is a glowing achievement indeed. The artifact, by its very nature, poses a great danger. I hesitate to embrace its use so willingly. A great danger? But wouldn't you say that we are beset by danger at all times? The arbitrariness in deciding how dangerous something is comes from the degree to which it poses a risk. As you must already know, the monolith here is a device that can force a distortion. It is scattered throughout the city, just like the Golden Bough. At first, only in possession of the fingers and the syndicate of the back streets, to now being collected by companies both large and small, and nameless, like a plague. We also learned that they have become rather high priority targets for some wings out there. As luck would have it, we managed to begin our research, expedition, and collection of the monoliths much earlier than the others. Now we are already at the stage in which we may partake in the processing and the scales of these artifacts, expanding our business ventures. Okay, I am becoming exhausted. My brain is screaming right now at all this information on distortions, abnormalities, monoliths. Like, damn, they're all bad. They are all bad. You could say that we narrowly avoided the very unsavory fate of having to tussle with the wings for the possession of these artifacts, because we may have had to confront the wings directly were that the case. Asking out of pure curiosity here, what would happen if we were ever assigned to a city threat level? Ishi, how about we don't ask questions we don't ever want to find out the answers to? I mean, what if we, due to some contractual shenanigans, end up going against the associations? I think it'd be a good thing to know ahead of time just in case. Seems like a question worth entertaining to me. Let's see, from Canard to Star of the City, I suppose your assignment will be somewhere between Urban Plague and Urban Nightmare. No SOC yet, are we? It almost sounds as if you want to be given a threat level, It is true that you, upon first sight, due to your revival powers and the potential of the identity technology, may appear to pose a rather troublesome risk. However, you have a very clear and obvious weakness: Dante. Indeed, all of our advantages will be moot upon the manager's death. Hohenheim slowly turns around to look at me, prompting Faust and the other sinners to follow suit. What if we protected them, though? I'm impressed by your optimism, given the kinds of enemies you have faced thus far. We don't even need to go so far back in time to discuss the incidents with the fixer Siegfried, or Big Brother Ricardo. I read from your reports. Should the third sinner suddenly seek to attack the manager with her full might, do you truly believe that the rest of you would be enough to protect them? No. The flow of this world is that the manager will be preserved, that no such thing may come to pass. That's enough, Hohenheim. Any further divulgence, and Faust will open a disciplinary committee to discuss the consequences of your careless words. Not there yet, are we? Very well. Whichever is the case, you do have the potential to become a Star of the City threat at some time in the future. But do remember that it would be best if you could avoid that unfortunate designation. And please, don't forget that that is only true as long as you have Limbus Company's backing. Oh my gosh. So their threat levels could reach a Star of the City. We are almost done with the regular checkup. Finally, we have a chance for you to overcome an adversity based on what you have learned thus far. And for me to prove my hypothesis. What hypothesis is he talking about? No need to worry. My hypotheses have never been wrong, most of the time. This experiment is entirely of my own design and supervision, and I will faithfully follow my own pure curiosities and instincts as a researcher. Oh, why does he have a monolith right there? Guys, I have a feeling we're not gonna like where this goes. Now, do you see this monolith here? Is he going to distort himself? Yep, I do. That's a monolith, all right, but... don't you worry, my researchers will be the ones to activate the artifact. Activate the artifact? Not on you, relax. I understand that none of you would be willing participants to this experiment. I swear, if you're going to force us to distort, saying that we have no right to refuse or something, I'm gonna... Yeah, hang on. I can't let you do that, even as your assistant. Yes, but if you must, we are willing to send the weakest sinner among us for... That's dirty. Forget I said that. That was foolish of me to say. I will be the subject of the experiment myself. I knew it. Why would he distort himself? You're going to distort yourself? Am I hearing you right? Aren't you curious to see what kind of distortion you'd end up becoming? I'm sure this is a question you all have entertained at least once. Yep, he's a mad scientist. No, I ain't curious. It ain't a very pleasant experience either. Stop gritting your teeth like that, assistant. It will have an adverse effect on your long-term dental health. What if you just end up turning into a pecatulum? You could end up becoming a pecatulum. Just another one of the fodder we slaughtered our way through for the test earlier. You're risking that? It is indeed a possibility. It would signify nothing more than my very own limitations. Just a mediocre shell. If such an incident comes to pass, these employees will transport me to a containment unit. We even made a bet on what kind of pecatulum I would turn into. He bet on goulash. I on Invide, and her on Pigrite. Pigrite? But how could you? Think about it like this. If I were to become a pecatula, it would be akin to losing at a game of chance. Of course, what counts as a loss may depend on what I, at that precise time, consider to be losing. But the mere fact of turning into a pecatulum reaves me of any value to life. I'd say he was being too hard on himself, but that felt like too simple an expression to describe his tone. The company would most likely attempt to transport me to a containment unit, but I disagree with that decision. I would like to ask you to dispose of me on the spot. I am well aware that I'm not the kind of congenial person who earns others' favor at first meeting, if at all. I also don't believe that our brief relationship has been the most amicable kind. Therefore, I see little reason why you would hesitate to cut me down. Of course, sinners with gentle hearts like this young Sinclair here may express certain distaste against the decision. But once I become a pecatulum, it may as well mean that Hohenheim, the entity, has ceased to be. So I hope no unnecessary emotions like guilt clouds your judgment in killing the pecatulum, a mere byproduct. But what if something unexpected happens? We're talking about your life here. Don't you have any manuals with backup plans, or this is a very simple matter, nothing more than a coin flip, heads or tails? It appears that you are still insisting on your absurd 50-50 theory. I am a researcher who wishes to humiliate the field of mathematical statistics, unlike the general lay of the academia. I believe there is a certain romanticism to research. It is much more exciting to run as many tests and gain as many samples as we can than to be stuck behind a desk, poring day and night over books and paper, isn't it? If it's tails, then you may dispose of me immediately, and the employees here will take care of the rest. Don't forget to destroy the key inside that coat pocket and the files inside my cabinets, for example. Yes, we remember. If I were to successfully distort, we would be halfway to success. My, for the first time, I am feeling quite the envy for you all. I wish I could be a witness to my very own distortion. Huh? If you've been paying attention to my lectures, perhaps you could even come up with a classification code for my distortion too, going by the standards we have discussed earlier. Not that I have a very high expectation that you would. I've recently come to a realization that people nodding along to my words is not a signifier of comprehension, but instead an expression of societal necessities. Nods. Then, the manager here will open the entrance to my dungeon of the Fathoms, and you will progress through the mirror dungeon as you have always done when facing a distortion, to reach into its deepest fathoms, to face my distortion once again. I wish you the best of luck in your suppression efforts. Hexasection. And once you've made it that far, it is likely that you will find me unconscious, or if luck would have it, conscious. Unconscious? Are you sure this is safe? A degree of case-by-case variance is to be expected. It may take some time for a full recovery, but it will happen should you succeed. That reminds me, that's how this bamboo-headed Kim was brought back as well. Bamboo-headed Kim, he's recovered? He is safely contained within our facilities. It seems that they are ready to activate the monolith. I am confident that I, even as a distortion, will be quite the exceptional specimen. Hang on, just like that? You're not a Pecatulum. Indeed, and I. I can still hear them. Yes, I remember. I still do. I know he'll be back, but gosh, this is pretty unnerving. Don't worry, we'll bring him back no matter what. The manager says that we will bring him back no matter what. Sure sounds like a dependable sort. This manager of yours, very well. Please take a look at this. Is this a note? Did he write us tips on how to do this or something? He says that all you have to do is read what's on that note in front of his distortion. Apparently it's some kind of a code? I don't think he'll hear anything but ticking noises from me. Can you read this, Marisol? It will be done as you commanded. Marisol nodded, then began to read the words from the note aloud. Lobotomy Corporation, 5 minutes, potentiality, anticipation, right hand. The moment Marisol uttered them, the all-too-familiar portal began to appear around Hohenheim's distortion, as though they were a key to a door. Scattering shards of familiar yet alien sight appeared intermittently beyond the shimmering veil. Hohenheim had already entered the portal as we stood there gawking, but we could still hear his voice echoing through the laboratory. I suppose I'll be forced to share my past here. The past I never wanted to share, the past no one cares to learn about. It is something I must endure for the sake of this experiment. However, I needn't expose every little detail of it. It's all in the past now anyway, isn't it? Oh my goodness, look at this place. Yo, I cannot believe Hohenheim distorted himself. What kind of madman is he? Oh my god. Oh my god. Here we go. We're at the starting point of the dungeon of the Fathoms. We find ourselves in a room that appears to be a workshop of ego gears. If you have scored below 100 synchronization rate in the aptitude test, take only a single ego from here. An ominous warning sign greets us all, and the same words repeat ceaselessly from the speaker. The sinners all go take a look, enticed by the sign telling us that we could pick up ego gears here, but what we find there are ego gifts. What? These ain't ego gears. These are them gifts or something, right? It appears that ego are manifest here in the shape of ego gifts. Can we just take them all? This is a dungeon of the Fathoms, as it differs from the usual mirror dungeons. It is highly advisable that its rules are followed. What should we do? Take combat boots with spiky bits on them? What? Cleaning solution spray? Flaming gauntlets? I mean, the combat boots with spiky bits? I mean, that does sound pretty cool. Take the cleaning solution spray. This one seems best suited for the situation we're in. we take the Illusory Hunt Eco Gift. Oh, focused encounter star, apply 2 damage up to all allies. Oh, you know what? That's actually, that's nice. That is nice. All right, so we just choose whichever one we want. I'm gonna go top. Oh my gosh. What's going on with them? Good. It appears that I can censor these with my own will, at least to a degree. Your mission here is to classify my distortion, reach the end of this dungeon of the Fathoms, and bring me back. Your mission, however, does not involve digging into my past. I mean, which we are going to do. We really don't have a choice, honestly. Every time we deal with a distortion, it's like we do go through their past in order to bring them back. It appears that we have a passing familiarity with this place. You, us. What is that they seek to convey? I don't believe any level of proper communication will be feasible, given that you are in a dungeon of fathoms. Well, then do something about it. I regret to tell you that the setting of this dungeon is out of my hands. Had it been up to me, I would have manifested a place that was much more fascinating than this. Like that library, fabled to have every book in existence. Oh, the Library of Ruina. I love like the little like ties to all of the games like that. You used to work for the Lobotomy Corporation, just like that. I mean, all 3 games, boom, boom, boom. We are playing Limbus Company, talking about Library of Ruina, and the character worked at Lobotomy Corp. I mean, it's crazy. I just love that. One of my past careers, yes. Us. Diplomacy did not seem to be an option here. The censored people brandished their weapons threateningly and stood in our path. Looks like we're going to have to take them down if we want to make any progress here. It can't be helped. Let's get ready for a fight. All right. And a fight they shall get. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that we are reaching the end of this Intervallo. It is, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this. A little bit too chit-chat from Hohenheim there, talking about abnormalities, distortions, but overall, I mean, I really like this Intervallo. It is a lot of fun, a lot of funny moments. A shocking moment with what happened to Don Quixote. I did not expect that to happen, but one thing I do realize, you know, playing like Time Killing Time and now you know, this Intervallo, I do see that that any time 16, 17, you know, I'll go for it. But any time that there is an intelligent character like that, they seem to talk a lot. They like the devs do a good job, the writers do a good job at having them go in depth in conversation like that. Because, you know, like super smart people, that's what they do. They love details and going into it all. So I do appreciate it. But damn, my brain sometimes has a hard time keeping up. We came across a group of researchers passionately poring over various documents. They're having a debate about 2 subjects, emotions and flame. Regular flames don't seem to hurt the abnormalities very much, so why does this work, I wonder? Perhaps a greater degree of wrathful emotions opens up the room for the fire's heat to touch abnormalities and distortions, both entities of the unknown. They must have noticed us listening in to their conversation intently. One of them approaches us with a glint in their eyes. Are you the sample who's agreed to this experiment? If so, try this on. In the researcher's hands was what looked like an ignition plug, or a testing machine of sorts. What? We're the samples. Proceed. Who will step forth? Otis. Threshold 10 or 16? Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna go with Otis. We're gonna go with Otis. She did it. Nice. Oh, what an interesting reaction. Decent synchronization rate as well. Maybe the researcher liked what they saw. After scribbling their observations into various papers, the researcher let Otis go. Otis took off the gear and presented it before the researcher to return it, but they simply shook their head in response. The gear seems to fit you perfectly. Take it with you. Nice. Reignition plug obtained. Healed for 30 HP and SP. That actually works because Otis did get hurt. So boom, there we go. All right. Perfect. I mean, we don't have any burn. But, I guess that happens. So how do we know this guy's actually distorted? He doesn't sound any different from his usual self. The sanity degradation due to distortion affects every subject differently. I mean, yeah, but censoring his own fathoms? But Hohenheim, you're in a dungeon of the fathoms. We will see through it with Dante's powers, whether you want to show us or not. You make a fair assessment. How about this, then? If you are to see them anyway, allow me to save you the trouble and give you a quick rundown instead. Come visit me as soon as you finish watching my tale. This tale began when that man walked into my laboratory. Yes, I had a personal laboratory all to myself, one of the few perks of being an elite researcher. This guy's just telling the story however he wants to, isn't he? Yeah, you know it. It's a fabricated history. There he is, Mr. Hohenheim. Let me think. I don't quite remember what he looked like. Something like this, perhaps? Whichever is the case, I was planning to censor his appearance anyway. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. I don't know why he has that voice. Stop. Are you here to express your displeasure with me? The what now? If you are, do let me know from the get-go. I had a feeling it was about time this would happen. 3 months, not a bad record for working without a workplace conflict. Oh, if this is about quitting, then you would find a much better audience among the human resources team. No, I mean, I'm just here to thank you for picking me, some dude from the back streets, to work here. I heard it was you who made the hiring decision. I don't know how to put this, but you're the only one who saw my, what's the word? Yeah, my potentiality. You saw something that no one's cared to look into before. You know what I mean? But it had nothing to do with something so grandiose like his potentiality. A wing does not hire people from the back streets for something so insignificant. While this information has never been publicly available, Lobotomy Corporation's primary criterion was trauma. Candidates with horrible, insurmountable trauma were often favored by the company. And in an indirect way, it was only natural that they would begin to favor candidates who originate from the back streets. Your greetings are acknowledged, Jimmy. Now feel free to leave my office. I ain't Jimmy. Anyways, I've been meaning to ask Mr. Hohenheim, why do you always enjoy being alone? It may come as a surprise to you, but I am very adept at spending my time all on my own. It is one of the hundreds of distinguishing features that set me apart from ordinary men. Say, don't you need someone to be like your loyal right-hand man? My right-hand man is doing just fine. My right hand is doing just fine, thank you very much. Do you believe in potentialities, Hohenheim? What an unrelenting, stubborn employee he was, even in hindsight. Thanks to you, I do, and I've been thinking, if I keep at it, one day, I might even find myself living it large in a nest, changing my world little by little. Kind of like how a thing like me managed to snag a position here at Lobotomy Corporation. So, I'm thinking here that I want to stick around in your circle. To bring about such drastic changes to one's life is in the realm of feasibility for an exceptional researcher like myself indeed. But you are, like most of the rabble, painfully average in most qualities and therefore unlikely to be the moving force in that change. I have no faith in universal things like potentialities. I have faith in myself and myself alone. Besides, I am not very partial to mathematical statistics like the probability theory anyway. So, I would like to keep both my right and left hands as my own. Have a nice day. Want to know something about me? I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really think about things. Action before deliberation. You get me? Thoughtless and carefree. Possibly the only merit to be found in those who originate from the back streets. Or was that a thinly veiled threat of physical assault? No, I'm talking about the new Abno that just got shipped here. It's a tricky one to manage, I'll tell you what. It reads your mind, screwing up all kinds of strategies or whatever as long as it's based in hard logic. Want to shoot for the Department of the Year award together? You seem to be rather skilled in the art of transactions. One of the few merits found in those who originate from the back streets. Nice. I will admit, I suppose I was overcome by a certain ennui back then. And in hindsight, it was foolish of me to engage in such inane conversations. You let us die? The remnants of my past come to haunt us. Perhaps it is I whom they truly wish to hurt. What in the hell is going on? It's finally here, the Department of the Year award. Indeed, I have finally done it. We have finally done it. Oh boy. With some minor assistance from you, of course, and some other employees. Come on, admit it. Don't you notice that a lot more employees are saying hello, good morning, and what have you to you in the hallways compared to when your reputation was a bit, you know? It's all because I'm just that good of a right-hand man. I will admit that your intuitive and spontaneous eye was of some assistance when it came to identifying certain observations among abnormalities. This is the potentiality I was talking about, man. The same thing you saw in me when you decided to get me on board. Apologies for ruining the moment, but the next few years quickly and busily flew by without much trouble. Of course, we picked up ourselves a few more Department of the Year awards, some promotions, and some collaborative researches. Yet, all things must come to an end. The infamous fall of Lobotomy Corporation for one. You left us. So I don't suppose you have any trouble hazarding what they're all telling me, even as the words come out fragmented? You left us. Nothing but words of endless resentment. You left us behind. The fall of the former L Corp. Ooh, the alarm. I remember what Miss Yuri told us. The site crumbled in an instant, trapping the employees in there with the abnormalities. What is this sound? The whole structure is quaking. What the hell is... Initiating site burial in 100 seconds. Any remaining employees must immediately evacuate the structure. Counting down 95, 94. The escape pods to the surface are here, but there's only one seat left. They're saying that the next one's in 5 minutes. Listen closely. At the risk of sounding rather callous, I must inform you that the chances of survival in cases of crisis such as this is usually granted only to a very small minority of those affected. Some who prioritize the fairness of the process may settle on primitive methods, such as drawing lots to see who gets to escape. And in more barbaric groups, the survivor would be decided by none other than the rule of might. However, I am glad to find myself among those who are on the right side on the side of intelligence. So I make this argument, a suggestion before you. Compare yourselves whose sole final purpose in life is clinging to your mediocre office jobs and making good on your debt payments. And me, who has produced several groundbreaking epochal theses and research results at such an early age. Whose life in your eyes is of greater worth? Oh, dirty dog! What the hell? Yes, and that is how this tale ends. The compound collapses 90 seconds later. I left the employees of my department behind and boarded the escape pod elevator. and survived. How could you? Without even a hint of remorse. Wrath is a hideous emotion. I'm here today only because I have always maintained a cold, rational head. The Elcor branch within Hohenheim's Dungeon of the Fathoms begins to crumble. It almost appeared as though his heart was crumbling as well. Well, now that's over with, I invite you to come face me, the distortion, and the experiment will come to an end. But just finding and defeating his distortion in a fight, I don't think that'll bring him back. I just know it. I agree. We're still in deep waters here. This can't possibly be all there is to it. No. Oh, I cannot believe Hohenheim's like, yeah, so we're going to talk about value of life here. And I got to say, mine is way more valuable than all of yours. So I'm going to be the one to take the escape pod. Thank you very much. We see the Fey Lantern within the containment unit. A cyan-hued fairy flutters toward the wiry ancient branches of the tree and softly lands on one of them. The branch ceding, the fairy sways, as though to entice us to get closer to them. Bright, countless yellow eyes glimmer from the shadows beneath its roots. What a beautiful specimen, this Fey Lantern. Have you finished your observations? We've been learning a lot about the abnormality recently. There's still a lot of unknowns, but still. Speaking of which, here's a pop quiz. What ego gift can you get from the Fey Lantern? Concavity? Midwinter Nightmare? Right on the money. You know your Fey Lantern. But that's not all. Recently, it's been giving out these things too. Take this with you. I'm just glad to have run into a kindred soul. You receive a bony twig. It seems to have come directly from the Fey Lantern itself. Let's go, baby. Another ego gift for Rupture. I mean, we don't have Rupture on our team, but that's okay. I will take all of the gifts. At the end of this hallway, a group of researchers is having a discussion in front of an unnaturally dark place. Noticing our presence, their faces brighten up as they approach us. Please, will you investigate this area ahead for us? We will help with the best of our abilities, should you accept. Refuse. Fine, walk away. We're not the ones losing out on a good deal. The researchers all turned around without a moment's hesitation. Nothing happened. Okay. Hey, that's pretty good. I feel like we dodged a bullet. I mean, I wouldn't want to go first. Not in the dark. Why would I walk in the dark with those two behind us? No, thank you. No, thank you. They're probably going to shank us. We arrived at the entrance to Hohenheim's laboratory. This may be my final order to you. Either suppress me and return safe and sound to where you came from, or fail the suppression, place me in a containment unit, and perhaps we can observe what happens next. That's when Heathcliff suddenly strode forward. Hohenheim, do you still believe in that potentiality? I do. It's what keeps me going. You only hire researchers from the back streets, don't you? I heard from them earlier. They told me that you're a right pompous bloke, but thanks to you, they can continue to research and believe that there might be things in this world that's worth working towards. Dang, look at Heathcliff. Wow. He really, Hohenheim has a special place in Heathcliff's heart. Yo, look at the design of him. That is so cool. Why does it look like he has a slice of pizza where his head is? Let's see here. Tremor. Okay, on use, on hit after clash, win. So we have to be careful of the tremors. And, of course, there's going to be some poison here as well. On hit, on crit. All right. So these two, we do want to make sure that we win. Dominating and neutral. Why is that in neutral? Why is it in neutral? Dominating. Favored. Okay. Final power, unused, yeah. Piss off, mate. Piss off, you distorted Hohenheim. Let's take this guy out. But look at this place. I mean, this is really cool. I always love the set pieces for some of these battles. They're so well done. Listen to this music too. We are nearing the end of the Intervallo. It's been a good one. I enjoyed this one so far. Well, I guess it's coming to an end, but I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. I do want to do, speaking of the fathoms, I do want to do like a dedicated video of my first time going through the fathoms. But we do know, okay, I want to point this out. I am the win rate specialist. So just, you know, just expect that. Just expect the win rating happening every now and again. I was told that you go against bosses, so I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to win rate. But we will see. Increases after winning a clash. Why does he have this? Passives. So turn start gain shield equal to 30% of missing HP. Shield HP cannot exceed 15% of the max HP. If this unit has a burn, lose burn count times 1.5. So he is weak to burn. Shield takes 100% damage from the rupture effects. Damn. Turn end. If the shield gained due to this effect is destroyed, for the rest of this encounter, gain 1 defense level down for every instance the shield has been destroyed. Oh. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just go straight up damage here. Let us destroy the shield. Bring that defense down. Come on, baby. There we go. We are going to be left to being attacked, which I don't know if I actually like this strategy, but it is the strategy that we have decided to go with. So he should be defense level down. Okay, these are all going to be like wide open hits. The question is anybody going to die? Defense level down. 1. Final power on use. Okay. Who do we have here? Do we have burn? Hold on. We do have burn. And let's see. No, I like that. I like that. Do we have any rupture here? Let's use some ego, I think. 15, 29, 35, 35, and then we can get some heals. I think. Let's try this. This is all gonna be... Alright. I mean, we could have gone damage, I think, there, but I'm hoping that we could do enough damage to break that shield. 38 damage, okay. Yeah, it was not very effective, but I'm curious because this is going to inflict burn. Speaking of lobotomy corp, 84 damage. Burn count, okay. Just break that shield, that is all I want. Break that shield, that is all I want. I guess I should have just gone with damage, huh? 23. And then Don Quixote. Is it going to be enough to break that shield? It is. Good. Good. All right, let's see what this does. This is a big boy one. Consume half of poise potency and count on self. Final power max 20. So he has a lot of poise. Oh my gosh. Clash, lose, reduce remaining poise by half. Unbreakable coin if user took no HP damage last turn, guarantee a crit. If user took HP last turn, does not crit, instead deal 80% damage on crit. Oh my god. Alright, let's make sure that this does not happen. Otis. What are we at? 2. Okay, so Otis, magic, bullet. Otis, you're gonna go. That's absolute dominating. Dominating. Alright, so we're gonna go this way. Doot, 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 doot. Okay. Alright, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I guess I should have done it the other way, huh? Well, I guess no, because Otis is going to clash. They're getting their hits in right now. The shield is going to break, which is beautiful. Maybe Magic Bullet Otis is going to do some huge damage here. Let's find out. It is going to be 87. 87 damage. 133 damage across the board. Okay, not bad. Not bad. What plagues your mind, manager? Your suppression efforts seem to be smooth sailing. It is exactly as you have seen, manager, save for a few parts that were censored. I concealed nothing from your view. I don't believe I have committed any wrong by escaping that place alone, leaving the others to be buried there. Of course. It may be reprehensible from a mortal standpoint, but why would anyone ever look at it from that perspective, manager? Especially when you are well aware that in the city, such a perspective is entirely irrelevant and worthless. I can feel his gaze on me. Like he said, the suppression is going well, but this feels wrong, that it shouldn't end like this. What should I tell him? What is Hohenheim trying to hide from us? What if you do feel like what you did was wrong? You're running away from something. Weakens the shield passive defense mechanism for this encounter. Ooh, weakens the poise passive. I feel like, let's go with the poise. Faust relayed my words to Hohenheim. I see how you may have arrived at that conclusion, but you are incorrect. I have already done much contemplating regarding that matter, and have definitively concluded a long time ago that I have indeed done no wrong. Let me say this in advance, that I am a rare breed of researcher who detests the study of probabilities and statistics. I, Hohenheim, am not the kind to make irrational suggestions, such as drawing lots to see who gets to survive. I am not the kind to partake in barbaric contests of strength to survive either. Indeed, there was no other recourse. My only option was to come up with an argument that was ultimately vain before the urge to survive, arguing for my survival on the grounds that I was the most useful one out of all of us. However, they all made a rather objective decision for me. They overcame their base desires for mere survival and made a forward-thinking decision for the future. So no, I have no reason to believe what I did was wrong. It shouldn't be wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. This wasn't a sin. Even as Hohenheim defended himself, it seemed as though some sense of responsibility was pulling him down. Especially those last words, I could barely sense his usual air of confidence. Exactly. He, he had a little sway in there. He had a little sway. Dominating, I like that. And, favored, is that gonna be enough? 24? Yes, absolutely. Alright. Come on, sinners, let's finish this battle. Man, Hohenheim. I wonder what they really said, though, because you know damn well that they weren't like, yes, Hohenheim, you are just a genius. You should be the one to survive. All of us are little rats on wheels sitting in our cubicles all day. There's no way. There's absolutely no way they said that. So the question is, how did it all go down? I would be curious to see. seems that there is something else you would like to tell me. Very well, you may go ahead and ask. I am prepared to answer any of your questions. I can feel Hohenheim's gaze lingering on me. What should I say this time? What is Hohenheim trying to hide from us? This is the second run. I just gave up on that other run. We made it pretty decently far into this. Now we are at another choice. Weakens the SP passive. So we're gonna weaken the poise. For sure. You are correct. Yeah, okay, so we've already read all of that. Continue. Okay, now here we are. I'm going to... perfect, okay. All right, so I realized I think I went too ego heavy with too many sinners at one time, which was lowering the damage that we could do, and that definitely hurt the run. But we are doing pretty well so far. I am very happy about that. I was just scared of losing clashes, and it was more of, you know, I should have been focusing a bit more on the damage that we could do instead of letting the shields gain over time. And it looks like we are pretty dang good right now. Look at us. This should be the victory. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Hohenheim is done. I just realized that on the back wall in the window there were handprints, which is very unnerving. The escape pods to the surface are here, but there's only one seat left. They're saying that the next one's in 5 minutes. Look, I don't actually believe you hired me because you saw my potential or something like that. But I want to believe that you found the hope in potentialities because of me. A hope and anticipation that we can make things better as long as we keep at it. I can't leave you all behind. I can't just save my skin not without everyone. This is what a right-hand man does, doesn't it? Take my potentiality you found and rise. Take it with you to the surface. But you, Johan, what about you? Well, maybe next time. Some other time. Wrath is a hideous emotion. This is what I did nothing. This is why I did nothing at the entrance of that branch. Only remembering nothing more. Oh my. Remembering the ones I've left behind. I can sense the dungeon of the Fathom slowly beginning to close. Sometime later. Wow. Oh my gosh. So it was actually his right-hand man that told him to leave. I've returned safe and sound. Welcome back, boss. To be frank, I once wished to be someone like yourself, Heathcliff. What are you talking about? We don't want Heathcliff to be like Heathcliff. Because it's not easy to put my faith not in games of numbers, but in those slimmest potentialities of the world and continue to exist. I know it's not very befitting a researcher to be so, but it is quite the romantic attitude for a human to embody, is it not? Well, the experiment is over. It was a huge success, all thanks to us, right? No, it was a failure. I had established this hypothesis that the sole answer was to hold a firm belief in the self and nothing else. Had my hypothesis been correct, I would have remained a distortion. Thus, I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you. Thank you for making me fail. It seems that the classification for my distortion was HE5SU. Disappointingly mediocre, but I don't suppose it could be helped. The world is a place where we must find the ray of potentiality among the mediocre after all. Potentiality? Let us move on now. Mephistopheles is prepared to depart. Hohenheim's researchers waved at us. We'll meet again, right? Ew, no thank you. Everything has an end, so do consider this to be our final meeting. Down to the last exchange, this guy. The last thing we saw before the portal activated were the LCE researchers pushing up their glasses in our general direction. Though I'd only taken a step or two, the entire world around us seemed to transform, landing us back inside the transportation instrument. Now that I think about it, we didn't even get to learn why Gregor's bones made those cracking noises. All we learned from this experience is that the sinners have all become mediocre, but they each held certain potentialities within themselves. Each of us mulling over the events at the LCE, we returned to the bus where Karen and Virgilius were waiting for us. And that is the conclusion of our regular checkup. Poor Gregor. Poor Gregor. I really feel bad for him out of everybody during this intervallo. I mean, we didn't find out what is wrong with his bones. That poor guy just has to live on with his difficulty breathing and cracking bones. But we do have another nocturnal sweeping. I don't know why I thought it was only going to be the regular checkup, but we do have the nocturnal sweeping, and then we have Canto 8, another mini one, but we are heading into Canto 8. We do have another intervallo. I really did like the regular checkup. It got a little stressful there, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I had to level up all of my sinners in order to progress through the regular checkup, but thank gosh that some of you told me about the support. That is the first time that I actually used it in this game. And so thank you, because I don't know if I would have actually been able to get past that. I probably would have leveled up my E-Song to level 50. I got him to level 40. I think our Spice Bush, yeah, to level 40. But I mean, I did level up quite a few. I did level up quite a few sinners because of it, which I guess isn't a bad thing. But the one thing I do want to do, or not, it wasn't the, I said the fathoms. The one thing I want to do is this here, the refraction railway is something that I have not done yet. So I definitely want to give this a try. But that is it for the regular checkup intervallo, and now on to nocturnal sweeping. I appreciate all of you checking out today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.